All the sports news you need. Live.
Good evening to you and welcome to the locker room, the first one for me for the season. It's been a quick cross season. I was just saying this to the guys. It just feels like 5 minutes ago we saw Aberdeen lifting the Scottish Cup and we're back in it again. But hey ho. So joined tonight by Ethan and very excited Alex. We are looking forward to the second leg of the Champions League second round playoff of Panathinaikos against Rangers. We're on a wee bit earlier than normal because it's a 7 o'clock kickoff. So that means we'll be back on at 9 as well. And get your comment coming in as well. Before we speak to the guys and dive into what Russell Martin has been talking about yesterday, let's hear, you might remember from the first leg, we had the journalist on from Greek football. He's an expert and he was talking to us about Panathinaikos. Let's just see if I can get this because it was all sorted up a minute ago and then it went to pot. So hopefully we will play that for you very soon. It all goes well, won't it? When you come in nice and early and the technology does not work. It's brilliant, isn't it, Ethan? So there you go. So here we go. Here is Regan talking to Stephen early on this afternoon about tonight's game between Panathinaikos and Rangers.
Wednesday, we're only just a few hours away from Rangers making the trip over to Greece to play Panathinaikos. I'm joined by Greek football expert Stephen. Thank you for joining me, Stephen. And I know you do the honest podcast as well, but I'm very much looking forward to this match tonight, Stephen.
Yes, it's going to be an intriguing one. I'm sure we'll get into the details of the first leg of this tie between Panathinaikos and Rangers, but it went much more interesting than I thought it would be for a multitude of reasons, and it's there is still a fair bit to play for in the second leg. It's not the end of the tie for either team, I would say.
Emma, I just want to get some background for you because a lot of Scottish journalists are taking into account the fact that the weather's going to be very, very hot and potentially this could play into Panathinaikos' hands. Is that something that you see, Stephen?
Yeah, I think when I was last on the show, we spoke about this too. I think it will because it's going to be very hot. There'll be aspects of humidity as well, and so if the Rangers players aren't used to that environment of playing week in week out in Scotland and occasionally in other parts of Europe when they're in Champions League or Europa League, I think it will be a big thing, especially because it's July. End of July, early August is always a very humid time to be near the Mediterranean. So it could play into Panathinaikos' hands, but at the end of the day, they can't rely on the weather and they can't rely on any other factors. They have to go out there and try and overturn the tie. A tie that is going to be very difficult in itself to overturn.
Yeah, Stephen, I think the best place for us to start was the first half of the match last week, and I thought Panathinaikos started very well in the game.
I thought so too, and the chances that they missed in the first half were, it was crazy. So I couldn't believe it. I think there was one in particular that was basically an own goal that they didn't score, and I was shocked that they didn't put it away. And it came back to bite them in the second half when Rangers opened the scoring in the 52nd minute. So they really rued those missed chances in the first half, Panathinaikos, and I even if they'd gone into the second leg with one goal down, I think it wouldn't have been the worst kind of result to get in Ibrox, but to be 2-0 down it over on aggregate, and then Yorgos Vlahonis, who it got himself sent off in the just before the hour mark. That really killed the game for them. And he won't feature in this game because he's suspended, but also he's on the verge of being sold to Sporting Club de Portugal as well. Apparently, a fee's been agreed, and terms have been agreed between the two clubs, and it's just the final detail. So they're going to lose him altogether, which is a big loss because he's an excellent right back.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you as well, Stephen. Do you think those missed chances in the first leg might come back to haunt them, or do you think they've got the capabilities to even get the score back to a 2-goal deficit and try and take it to extra time with penalties?
They certainly can. Like I said, especially in the first leg, that really messed them up to miss those massive chances in the first leg. So in the first half of the first leg, it can certainly come back to bite them, but they have to go out there in the second leg at the Athens Olympic Stadium and score early, because that will put the pressure further on Rangers, because it will immediately half the deficit that Panathinaikos need to level the tie. And then, they very well could do it. I've seen them do it before in Europe in the qualifiers previously, but it won't be easy. It won't be easy at all, because Rangers are very experienced in recent times in Europe, especially, as we said last time I was on the show, Europa League final is a big thing. It's nothing to sniff at. So I think it's going to be very difficult. But Panathinaikos are capable of doing it at home, very much so.
What are the Greek media saying? Are they feeling confident about it? Or like you say, are they thinking that Rangers have got very good European pedigree?
It's a mixture. I think that the majority of Panathinaikos fans would probably say that it will be tough, but possible. Won't be easy, and a lot of the Greek media would reflect that too, in saying that they need a big upset in order to overturn it, and rightfully so, because it could very well go the opposite way, where if Rangers score early, that's tie over almost certainly, because then you're going to you have such a big mountain to climb. You have to score 4 goals in one game to overturn the deficit if Rangers score early in the second leg to make it 3-0 in aggregate. So Panathinaikos just have to come out the blocks flying and score early and actually put those chances away, because that's all that was missing from that first half performance. They played really, really well. They just couldn't put it in the back of the net, and very wasteful of them. And something I was rather surprised about, because that's not something that I would normally associate with Panathinaikos last season. In Europe, they were scoring goals fairly frequently when they played in the Conference League last year.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, Stephen, see in terms of speaking to the players and the manager and listening to the press conferences and that, are the Panathinaikos staff, are they feeling that they can do it tonight, or how are they feeling about it?
I'm sure they'll believe. Yeah, of course they have to, because to go further in the Champions League, especially with the draw now set out for who they could potentially play if they do progress to the third qualifying round and beyond, they had a realistic chance of potentially even getting to the league phase if they managed to get past Rangers. And now that's a lot less likely considering the scoreline from the first leg. But I'm sure they'll have the confidence to do so. And at the very least, what Panathinaikos need to do is just get to Europe of some form. At minimum, I would say Europa League phase for them. Conference League, obviously, they competed in last season. There's nothing wrong with the Conference League. As an Olympiacos fan myself, like I said last episode, there's nothing wrong with winning the Conference League at all. But for Panathinaikos and for the Greek coefficient, we need as many teams in as high level of European competition as possible to improve our coefficient to get us further up the UEFA rankings, so that we can then get more better qualifying places or even automatic places in European football in the future. And so we, even from the early offset, we need these teams who are in the qualifiers to win these games so that we get more points, because not only did Panathinaikos lose, but Aris lost as well to a team from Azerbaijan, which in the Conference League, which is really, really poor from them. Although, it's not down and out there either. And only AEK Athens won in their Conference League qualifier against Hapoel Beersheva from Israel. So, we need our Greek teams to be winning in these qualifiers early on to gain some momentum for the coefficient.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you as well. Obviously, Ibrox was a very intimidating atmosphere. What can Rangers fans going over there tonight expect from the atmosphere?
likewise, Panathinaikos have an amazing fan base, huge fan base, one of the biggest in Greece. The Athens Olympic Stadium is a big ground. I believe, from what I read, I think it's going to be between 40 to 50,000 capacity, or in terms of the fans are going into the stadium tonight. So it will make for a very good atmosphere, and it might not be kind of as enclosed and intense as their home ground, Leoforos, where they would normally play, but because of European football, they'll be playing their European games at the Olympic Stadium for bigger capacity reasons, and more fans through the door, etc., more revenue. But it will still make for a good atmosphere, and one that I think maybe Rangers supporters might not have seen before, because Greek fans can be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to ask you finally, Stephen, in terms of like Greek football, you talked about the importance of trying to get through this tie. How do you see the match panning out, Stephen?
Well, like I said before, it all depends on what Panathinaikos do early on. If they can score early, I can very much see them turning this tie around. If they go into halftime and it's still 2-0, I really fear for them. They are more than capable of turning this tie around with the manager, Vitor Pereira, very experienced in European competition. Sorry, not Rui Vitor Pereira, Rui Vitoria. That's it. My mistake. Rui Vitoria. Because I was looking at Wolves earlier for something. Yeah, Rui Vitoria is very experienced as a manager in European football. He knows what it takes to qualify and to get through to the league. Well, what was the group stage previously when he was at Benfica. They very well could do it, but like I've said the entire time, it could be very, very difficult for them. And at the very least, Panathinaikos need to try and qualify for the Europa League if they can't get to the Champions League and progress any further tonight.
Yeah, and in terms of like watching Rangers, do you think that European experience will help them in such a big stadium like that tonight?
Yeah, it will do. I think it will. And I think that while the atmosphere will be intimidating, this Rangers team are more than capable of progressing further as well. They've got the aggregate score to their advantage, and they played in Greek football stadiums not too long ago when they played Olympiakos in the Europa League phase last season, and they got away with a draw at Yorgos Karayiskakis Stadium. So they'll probably remember that previous meeting with the Greek side in Greece, and take notes from there.
Yeah, and finally, Stephen, I just want to ask you for your prediction for tonight's match.
Oof. Well, when I gave an overall prediction of the tie before, I said it would go to penalties. I don't know if it will be that now. I guess I want to try be not too biased, because I support Panathinaikos' as biggest rival, so I don't want to sound too harsh. I'll be positive. I think they'll do it. I think they'll turn the tie. They won't be able to fully overturn it. I think they'll match it 2-0, and it will go to penalties. I'm going to stick with my penalty prediction.
Nice. So it's going to be a long one for people in Scotland and Greece tonight, but it's going to be an enjoyable game, Stephen.
Yes.
There you go. That was a Greek football expert there, Stephen, joining us on the show early on. And before we get stuck into the game, let's have the team news come out, because I believe it's came out early on before we come on there. And Alex has got the team news for us.
Yeah, Michael, so it's an unchanged 11 for Russell Martin in his second competitive match as Rangers manager. In goals is Jack Butland, the back four of James Tavernier, Nasir Giga, John Suter, Max Aarons. Midfield three made up of Joe Rothwell, Mohamed Diamande, Nicholas Raskin, and then a front three of Kieran Dill, Findlay Curtis and Danilo.
There you go. And I'm not going to ask you to pronounce the Panathinaikos team, because that would be a bit unfair of me, especially because it's my first show back as well. Ethan and Alex is joining us on the show, as I said at the top. I haven't saw Rangers this season yet, and I missed the first leg. I booked last week. Come to you first, Alex. Were you surprised but happy at the same time?
I don't think I would. I wouldn't say I was surprised. Definitely happy. I mean, in terms of the way the game played out, I don't think I was surprised because you could see there was teething issues there with the new style. Max Aarons in particular looked like he struggled with the inverted fullback role. There were issues. There were moments though where you could see, Rangers' style and what they were trying to do. They did take their chances very well. Maybe on the overall play of the game, I was surprised that Rangers got away with a 2-0 result. Although in the end, I found myself wanting it to be 3, perhaps put the tie to bed before we came to Athens, but that wasn't the case. But but Russell Martin in his press conference basically made a promise saying that they will be better this week. So he's put a bit of expectation on his players there.
Ethan, obviously, we'll go on to Russell Martin's press conference. He was speaking to the media last night. What do you, well, first of all, were you surprised of the appointment of him to Rangers? And second of all, what did you think of his first competitive game last week?
Yeah, I think at the time I thought there was maybe better options there. But the more that I think about it, the more I think I've came to realise that maybe Russell Martin was the best, if not one of the best options Rangers could have went for. And I know he had a very unsuccessful Premier League season at Southampton, but it's a complete step up from the Championship. And we've seen over the past few seasons how many teams have struggled making that jump. So I think it's a good appointment for Rangers, and I think there was a bit of an overreaction at the time from Rangers fans and other fans across Scottish football. But in the first game, as Alex said, it was nothing near to perfect, but they got the result, and that's all that matters in these games. They come thick and fast very early in the season. And of course, it's going to take time to perfect the style of play he's trying to play. It's very different to a lot of what we've seen at Rangers recently under previous managers. So, but they got the job done, and that's what matters. And they'll take real confidence that they can put on an even better performance tonight and see out a really positive start to the Russell Martin tenure.
I suppose, Alex, this is our first time that we spoke to you. Well, certainly I have on the show this season. And were you surprised of the Russell Martin's appointment? And also, did you think it was a bit unfair of the Rangers fans to maybe not criticise him on social media? But I mean, at the end of the day, he's a Rangers manager. Whether you like him or not, he's in the job and you've got to support him.
Definitely. I was at the time. I was a bit underwhelmed by the appointment myself personally. It was, I wouldn't say I was surprised because of the other candidates that were being floated. He did seem like the most realistic one, but now. Yeah, definitely, Michael. They need to get behind him, and they need to, make sure they support him and give him time. I think I emphasised this last week. Please, God, give him time, because it's a whole new sort of era, and in Scottish football, from my own experience, especially Rangers supporters, they have a habit of quickly turning on managers and players when it's not going well. It can literally be a game or two, and they want them gone. So, they need to be patient, and they need to get behind them.
So,
I was just going to add on Alex's point there. I think something that has been mentioned from Leeds fans that this sort of 49ers consortium setup aren't likely to really listen to what the fans have to say. And I think that was a problem that Rangers suffered a lot in the past, where the fans had kind of too much of a say in where the club went, what direction they went in, and it led to decisions that probably shouldn't have been made, the wrong decisions. And the 49ers so far, looking from outside, look like they're pretty sure on what they're doing, and they look like that they've got a better idea than what we've seen Rangers as a football club have recently. So you'd have to say it's positive times for the Rangers fans at the moment.
I suppose as well, Alex, the all the doubting Toms out there, basically, they were saying about Russell Martin, but I suppose Russell Martin got the final answer last week and beating a big team, not a team from Wales or Ireland, no disrespect to them that you get in the Champions League, but a kind of bigger name, as it were. But he got the job done last week, but I suppose that he's got to follow the job through tonight and see the tie out.
Yeah. I think all the players said it and the manager said it's the sort of cliche. Last week was great, but it's half time, and they need to do the business and finish off Panathinaikos tonight. If they progress, a kinder draw on paper waits for them in the next round. It's either Victoria Pilsen or Servette. I don't know. I don't know when they're playing. I think it might be at the same time or later tonight. But definitely a kinder tie waits for them. But they do need to finish it off tonight, because I don't think Panathinaikos will take it lying down. If you look at it on the face of the statistics from last week, I think Rangers had 75% possession. Didn't feel like that. They won 2-0. And if you look at it without actually watching the game, you'd think it would be a fairly comfortable victory. It wasn't. Panathinaikos could have been 3-0 up in the first half if they'd taken their chances. So I think definitely tonight is massive, and they need to be on it 100% to get the job done.
Yeah, I would say the job's far from finished. Rangers are, of course, in a really good position with a 2-goal advantage, but the crazy things happen in football, especially in Champions League competition. I remember, I don't know if any of you remember this, but I remember Celtic won a home Champions League tie 5-0 against Astana of Kazakhstan. Went over there, and Celtic fans were worrying that they were going to throw that one away. So yeah, Rangers will need to go there with the mentality that it's still nothing each, and go and really boss the game. Because that's what Russell Martin will want to see, because they never really done that from the start last week. And as Alex said, Panathinaikos could have easily been at least 1 goal ahead, and you fear that if they get those chances early on in the game tonight, then they'll punish Rangers, and it'll be a long and nervy night for them.
And of course, I mean, Russell Martin knows that the tie's not over, because just looking at his quotes yesterday at the press conference, I'm sure you saw Alex, he said we're in the same position as we were before last week's, before the first game at Ibrox. It's going to be a tough test against a very tough team. And he went on to say, and we have managed the game in the best way, and we're ready for the game. If we win, it will be a big win for us, for the fans, and for the club, because it's a tough draw. But I think, I go back to the point I made early on, guys, about if there was any kind of doubting Toms out there, basically, and no offense to Tom out there, because I know plenty of Toms out there, but also I think at this early stage before the season begins, basically in the bread and butter, I think Russell Martin would win a lot of fans over. But again, as Ethan says, it's only kind of half time in the tie, and anything could happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think if he did win tonight, he would win a lot of fans over. But just one point I want to make on that sort of statement: if great if he wins tonight, but if he goes and loses or draws to Motherwell on Saturday, it will be completely turned around again. So it needs. I think tonight needs to be the start of something. They need to progress and they need to build on it. It seems like they're taking the right attitude towards it, game at a time, must win, and really focusing on the task at hand.
So that game you were talking about against Ascana is kicked off at, I think it was 6:30 that game kicks off. And of course, maybe we'll keep you up to date on that before we finish at 7:00 tonight for the big game against Panathinaikos and Rangers. Of course, Rangers are 2-0 up from the first leg. I don't know if you've managed to see any of the Rangers pre-season games. Even I know Alex may have saw a few and maybe got along to a few at Ibrox as well. But how I know pre-season games are totally different from the bread and butter. But how is the squad looking? And I mean, how do you think the players are fitted into Russell Martin's system?
Yeah, I think Alex, you can probably answer that a bit better than I could.
Well, I'll be totally honest. I work a lot on the weekends, so I've not seen a lot of the pre-season games. I've tried to watch highlights when I can. The really only full sort of look I've got into the Russell Martin kind of system was last week's game. So I'm maybe not the best well equipped to answer that question. But like I said, teething issues, but there was good elements there. I think one man that you could pick out from pre-season that's been doing really well is Danilo. In almost every single game, he's like scored or got an assist or both. Obviously, the manager he didn't get much of a look in last week, but the manager's shown faith in him again. He obviously likes him as his striker so far. Whether that's to do with injury issues with Hamza Agaman and the speculation about a move, obviously Agaman not travelling with the team, and speculation of a move of Dessers, whether that's to do with that or whether that's to do with Danilo as the best player in the team, best man for the job. Sorry, not the best player in the team, but he's shown it so far in pre-season, and hopefully he can build on that. I think that's the most in-depth kind of answer I can give to that question based on my limited watching time of Rangers' pre-season.
There you go, Ethan. I gave him a big build-up and he booted that away out the park nicely. I don't know if Alex just played defence, but yeah, that was that was a good clearance from the back there, Alex. But yeah, I gave you the big build-up for a great fall. So thanks for that, Alex. Yeah. So what about you, Ethan? Have you saw any of the games so far?
No, well, I saw last week's game, and a lot of things impressed me by the fact that I could see Rangers had a clear sort of style, and it didn't always work, but you could at least see that Russell Martin was trying to do something, and I think that's what you could say for certainly Philippe Clement, is that you didn't know what he was trying to do on the pitch with Rangers, and I know it wasn't perfect last week, and it never would be in the first competitive match, but I think Rangers are making the steps in the right direction. The signings have looked, obviously we haven't seen all of them, but the signings on the face of it have looked positive. And I think Rangers will bring in a few more because they need a few more. But yeah, I think Rangers are in a good place at the moment and a really good place in the tie, and they'll be hoping they can go over and have a pretty smooth night because they want to rest up their key players if possible for that game at the weekend, which will not be an easy one to start.
I think as well, Alex, it was important to get a league Ibrox, especially if you're going into a hostile atmosphere tonight, then Panathinaikos and it's going to be, I don't know what the temperature is going to be, but, and I think Stephen said in the interview, it's going to be like 50,000, got more of the game, but if you were an away team, I think that would spur you on because the majority of the fans would be against you and booing and all that kind of stuff. So that might work in Rangers' favour. And also, because they've got the 2-0 lead, they don't have to go out to... They're going to have to go out gung-ho, maybe looking for a quick goal and maybe kill the tie that way.
You could do that. I'll answer that point first. You could do that. However, I don't think that's the case. I think, one thing that I think we've all kind of surmised from Russell Martin's kind of previous managerial stints and his interviews and every sort of information we can get on him, he will stick to his style. Rangers will come out and I think they'll go for Panathinaikos. They will play attacking football. I don't think you'll see them nick a goal and sit on it. Unfortunately, that was probably going to be horrible watching if that's the case. But I don't think Russell Martin will budge on that. On the fan point and the sort of hostile atmosphere, I think it can play to players' advantages. It can motivate them. Obviously, I think we've got a fair few new boys in the team. However, there's a few of them as well that are used to playing in front of a hostile atmosphere every other week because their fans are always on their backs, especially last season, and they've gone to other places like to Istanbul against Fenerbahce and come out on top. They've gone to hostile atmospheres before. They went to Athens last season. As it was mentioned in that excellent little clip we had there before we came onto the screen, and they got the 1-1 draw. So there are a fair few players in the squad that have played in those sort of conditions before. So I feel like that's a positive as well.
Yeah. I think Rangers they're in a really good place, as I said. I think you asked, Michael, I think it's starting at 33 and going down to 31 degrees, so it's pretty warm, and I believe the match starts at 9 p.m. local time, so that's probably why the 7 p.m. kickoff is they're 2 hours ahead. And yeah, it'll be interesting because I always think it's a strange dynamic when a team's not playing in their sort of usual stadium, but it looks at Panathinaikos playing the Olympic Stadium to get the more fans in, as Stephen said, and they look quite set on what they're doing as well. They've only made one change, Panathinaikos, and it was at right back with George Vagianidis, who obviously got the red card, and as I think Stephen said, he's like to move away as well. So Yanis Kotsiras comes in at right back for him. He was the one who came on for the last half an hour. So not many changes between the two teams. So they'll all know each other. They'll all know their battles in the pitch. So Rangers will want to start the game better, as I said, because if Panathinaikos get an early goal, then it'll create a nervy atmosphere. And another thing on Alex's point about Russell Martin, I think I agree. I think he'll try and set up his team to start on the front foot and win the match on the night. But there might be a point tonight where we learn whether Russell Martin's learned from his time at Southampton and realises that sometimes putting the foot on the gas at all times isn't the best approach. Because I think he did find that out at Southampton and his relatively young managerial career. That'll be interesting to see if that's been a learning point for him.
What will obviously Misket Meg and all that here, Alex? But what do you think Russell Martin's team talk will be to the Rangers team as they go out tonight? Do you think they'll they'll kind of like park the bus for like maybe 10, 15 minutes and then try to frustrate them that way?
No, I think he'll tell them to keep cool heads and go out and play their style. Go out and do what we've been training and working on, and what he's given them praise for in almost every single interview that they've been doing so well in training. Just go and do what you've been doing. That I think that'll be the team talk.
And I suppose Alex as well, as I was saying to Stephen last week when I spoke to him before the first leg, it's just a pity because obviously the winner takes all tonight. But when you look at the Rangers, Panathinaikos, just the two names as well, you would swear it was a group F game or a group game instead of a qualifying game.
Yeah, definitely. They're two sort of fallen giants of European football due to the way football's going and the sort of financial disparity. Panathinaikos haven't been in the Champions League, I want to say, since 2008? 2010.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2010. So it's it really is sort of two teams that were there or thereabouts. Rangers obviously were in the first UEFA Champions League. I think getting knocked out by the eventual winners, Marseille. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think those are the facts there. Panathinaikos have had a fair few seasons, and yeah, Michael, it is two sort of group / league phase kind of teams that you would like to both see in the competition, but the way it's fallen, it's one or the other, and I hope it's Rangers.
Yeah, surprise, Ethan, as well. But no, I always say in these kind of European nights, if it's Celtic or Rangers, or even if it's any of the other teams in European football and they knock out a big name, it's always good for Scottish football as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've spoke a lot about it recently, about Scotland. Apart from Rangers and maybe Celtic last season, I don't think Scotland as a whole, the clubs have done enough to really propel ourselves forward as a country across Europe. And we'll get a really good opportunity. We've started really well. The three teams have all got positive first leg results, and hopefully they can carry that in to the second leg and beyond. And then Celtic and Aberdeen come in and help out as well. But yeah, I think the other interesting point with this tie is that obviously it's two big clubs, and the both of them will probably look at it, and if they get through tonight, then as Alex said, you're probably looking at on paper an easier next round. But then again, the sort of double jeopardy that if you were to lose tonight and go out, then you probably got an even more difficult tie. And then Stephen was talking about the minimum that Panathinaikos want is Europa League. Then if they go into the next round against Shakhtar Donetsk or Besiktas, I think it is, in the Europa League qualifying, then that's a real tough tie. And then you're looking at having to even try and qualify for the Conference League. So yeah, it's a really massive match for both teams. They really don't want to lose. They really, of course, want to win. So yeah, massive night.
What's the allocation for Rangers? Kind of even sorry, Alex, I haven't saw that, but I suppose that the Rangers will be taking a big support, and also when you watch the game, there'll be supporters talking about the ski game as well. Just the way it happens with Rangers and Celtic. But do you know that? Do you know how many allocation ticket sales Rangers got?
No, not yet. I'm just just like looking it up, but yeah, like you said, Michael, there usually are sort of fans dotted around the stadium, and they usually do bring a massive support. I'm just trying to find it, what the allocation is for the away supporters.
I was just going to say the fact that the Panathinaikos fans probably won't fill the 70,000 seats or get near to that, as I think Stephen said, around 50,000 or something like that, or maybe just more than that, then it leaves a lot of room for Rangers. And obviously Panathinaikos get to decide how many Rangers fans get in if they oblige the European or UEFA rules, which I think is 10% or something like that. So
it's a minimum. They needed to provide a minimum of 3,750.
Right,
so there'll be at least
5%,
that number. At least that number in the stadium. So I'm assuming there will be probably 10% or even more Rangers supporters on a wee holiday to Greece.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think that if you were a Rangers fan watching the game last week, you would be happy, but you would be frustrated as well, because you were like that. Well, it's back to the same question that I should be asking. Should be asking you this question after the game, Alex, and I don't want to fit here, but why do Rangers actually style of football play better in European football, but not against like the bread and butter kind of like Motherwell, Hearts, and all that?
I don't know. I'm hoping that this is the season that finally sort of breaks that mold under a new manager and a new play style, because it has been really frustrating. Obviously, some of the European nights have given me some of my best memories in football. Really like spectacular victories, limbs in the ground as well. It's some of the best nights. But I'd probably swap it. Maybe not swap. I don't know. I'd probably swap it though for the amount of league titles and cups and stuff that Celtic have won, rather than us just doing well in Europe and Celtic dominating all the time. You know what I mean. I probably would swap it, but it can. Yeah, I'm hoping that this season is the season that they can sort of get their act together in domestic football, and we'll see the start of that with a tough test away from home to Motherwell on Saturday, a late kick-off as well.
I thought you were going to say Baskin Kisong there, Alex, this is the season to the jury and all that as well. But this is the season because you set me up nicely, Alex, because we've got a new show launching on Friday here. We are going to be rebranding, got a new name and all that, and new contributors. Alex has signed a new 5-year deal, so I'm happy for Alex to come on board. Also, we have a 5-year deal. Or was that 5 minutes? I'm not sure. And also, we've got a couple of new contributors, the ex-Dundee chairman as well. He'll be joining us on the show on Friday, so check us out at 5 o'clock on Friday night. But here we're on the locker room, and it's just about 14 minutes away from kickoff, even over the hostile atmosphere, Panathinaikos against Rangers.
Yeah, it's just good to have meaningful football back. You relish every game at this time of the season where there's not much, and then finally on Saturday we get back to our bread and butter of the Scottish football leagues, and yeah, we'll enjoy every minute of it. But it's although Rangers are quite a bit in front in this tie, it will still be a really interesting one, because as I said, I don't think the tie's over yet. although I would fancy Rangers to see it out and go through.
Even kind of building this game up when speaking to Stephen last week, Alex spoke before the game. 2-0 is a good score, but it can be a bit iffy as well because you know yourself when you watch games at Ibrox or anywhere else in Scotland, 2-0 at half time, and the other team comes out and scores a quick goal, and you're a bit nervy as well. So I think even though it was a brilliant score for Rangers last week at Ibrox, I think the Rangers fans might have been wanting 3-0 just to get that cushion going into tonight's game.
Yeah, definitely. I think the saying is 2-0 is the most dangerous score in football, because it can turn so quickly. So I would have liked an extra goal. I know, certainly speaking to my dad, he would have liked an extra goal, just to put the game to bed. But there's no point in ruminating on that and thinking about it for too long, because the Rangers did win. They do have a 2-goal cushion going into this game, and the game, like you said, is very soon, 12 minutes now, and they need to go out and just do the job tonight.
So if anybody's just joining us on the show, where have you been? We've been here since 6 o'clock. It seems like hours ago now, but can you give us that team again, Alex, if that's okay?
Yeah, no problem. Just give me a wee second just so I can get it 100% correct. Yep. So, like I said earlier, unchanged 11 from last week's game. Jack Butland in goal, James Tavernier, Nasir Dajiga, John Suter and Max Aarons make up the back four. A midfield three of Joe Rothwell, Mohamed Diamande and Nicholas Raskin. And a front three of Kieran Dowell, Findlay Curtis and Danilo.
What do you think of that team, Ethan?
Yeah, I think it's. I think I said this last week. I think it's far from Russell Martin's ideal 11. I think what he wants is two wingers who can take players on, who have got that natural pace. And although Findlay Curtis was really grew into the game last week, and it was a brilliant moment for him, getting obviously the opening goal. And then I don't think he has that sort of natural pace that maybe the likes of Deshedi Gisama has off the bench. Obviously, he scored as well. And then on the other side, you've got Kieran Dowell, who's, I wouldn't even say he's a winger. He can obviously play there. He's pretty versatile. But yeah, Russell Martin will just be happy to get through this tie tonight.
Maybe tonight's the night where we'll all see what he's seen in him. Apparently, maybe we'll see him twist and turn through three players and bang one into the top bins.
Maybe, but I don't think. I think Russell Martin wants pace in the wings, and I don't think Kieran Dowell's got that. That's just what I think. It's just I don't know, a slight incline that I have.
Here's a question for you though: if he wants pace on the wings, why has he picked him? Because he's got two wingers on the bench who are quicker than him.
Because he thinks that the team that obviously got the job done last week is the team that deserves to start again. And maybe he feels harsh dropping any players when, although it wasn't perfect, they put in a really good performance and got a really good result against a team that caused them a lot of problems. But I think when everyone's fit and fully firing in that Rangers squad, then I don't think Kieran Dowell will be playing on the wing. Do you think he'll be playing on the wing, Alex?
No, I don't. But I just don't think it's. I think it's a strange, even a strange pick now, without any sort of other signings in and stuff like that. Like, I understand maybe Gisama's not fully fit yet, maybe Oscar Cortez isn't fully fit, but it's just interesting to me that he's went with them again. But I guess we need to see what happens. Obviously, Rangers have been linked with a couple of right wingers, it looks like they're now in a race with Celtic to see who will get their go-ahead Eagles player first, because the go-ahead Eagles chief executive has come out and said that he's only going to sell one of Jakob Broom and Oliver Antman. So I'm fairly confident on that one though, because it looks like Rangers are actually going to pay the fee, whereas Celtic have been lowballing the go-ahead Eagles for the last few days. So that'll be interesting to see whether that goes through. But yeah, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but yeah, Kieran Dill's definitely a strange one.
Yeah.
Is that another Scott Allen deal? Would you say? Because remember back in the day, Celtic and Rangers were fighting over him, and he only got about 2 minutes for Celtic, and I think that was at half time during the warm up. He got on, so we'll watch that one by surprise. One man I wanted to ask about, Alex, and you seeing more than me and Ethan and any of the guys on the show, is Cyril Dessers. Now there's rumours about that he's about to exit the door at Ibrox. It's weird how a new manager comes in and he has different ideas, and I know that we spoke about him at length on the show last season when we did Rangers in European football, but I mean, okay, you can say what you want about him, but he turned up at a good time and scored brilliant goals. I mean, I remember he scored a goal against Man United as well, and was it not Dundee United as well that he scored a cracking goal in as well? So, I mean, what's your Nathan's take on Cyril getting Dessers maybe exit the door at Ibrox?
I wouldn't have wanted that to happen. I think I've finally settled down and accepted him for what he is. He will miss chances, but he'll get you goals all the same. I think he's got 51 goals for Rangers, and he's played just over 100 games, which isn't a bad return at all for a striker. And if you do the math, that's nearly a goal every game. Just kidding. That was just a wee joke there about a presenter, but but nearly a goal every other game from Cyril Dessers, and he's. Sorry, I've totally derailed this whole thing. But he's a good player, and I would have had going into this new season. I would have had him as Rangers' main front man.
Yeah, I'm not trying to compare the players by any means, but I mean, if you think about the amount of chances that Kyogo missed when he was at Celtic, he scored a lot of goals and he scored a lot of big goals, but he missed a lot of chances as well. And I think that's going to happen when you're a striker at Celtic or Rangers. You get a lot of chances. Of course.
So what you've just said is Cyril Dessers is as good as Kyogo, if not better.
No, because I was going to get on to the point where Kyogo gets a lot of maybe bypass on that point because he scored against Rangers nearly every time he played against them, where Dessers not as much. But obviously Cyril Dessers scored some big goals. But I think he could possibly land in where he's playing or where he might play tonight, Athens, because that was obviously the team he was linked with for a pretty decent fee for his age. And I think him and Hamza Egeman, I think both of them will move on, and possibly Nikola Raskin as well. And then that's 3 more players you need to replace on top of what Rangers already need. So it's going to be a big last month or so of this transfer window to see who stays and goes for Rangers and who they bring in.
Yeah, well, that is certainly a point. Potentially 3 players to replace, but I think if the 3 of them leave, you're looking at you've lost 3 players, but you've got 40 million to fill those positions. So, based on the fees that have been sort of quoted, especially for Raskin and Egeman, they would make up the bulk of that. They would be massive losses. I couldn't see all 3 of them leaving. But definitely you would get you would get a decent fee for one of those 2, and sort of reinvest it smartly within the squad on multiple positions rather than going out and splurging the bulk sum on another player.
I think for me, Alex, as well, another one like you mentioned was Igaman. That's a weird one to me because he scored some big goals last season as well. But for me, I don't think he had a lot of game time as well. I don't know if you feel about that.
I feel like it took him a while to get up to full fitness. And then he was sort of getting integrated slowly because he was a young player. And then I think Barry Ferguson came in and limited him slightly because of he was a young player in his first season and sort of that quality of league. And he was giving him time, but he did score some big goals. He's definitely talented. You can see the talent. I'm a bit concerned that the reports are he's picked up an injury and that's why he's not travelled. That is quite concerning, especially if Rangers would look to sell him or if they need him for the upcoming season. But I feel like if he does stay at Rangers, this could be a really good season for him.
It's a bit weird, even because Rangers wasn't outstanding last season, but they got the job done, especially in big European games as well. But when we're talking about Igaman and Dessers maybe leaving the go, it's amazing when a new manager comes in with a new fresh pair of eyes. He thinks different.
Yeah, and it is interesting that players can either thrive or be sold ultimately when the managers come in if they don't fit what they're trying to do. And it is really interesting because I think a lot of Rangers fans have kind of fell in love with Dessers because he has had a great strike rate, whether he misses a lot of chances or not. He still scores a barrel load of goals, and being top scorer in the Premiership. You might say, that it's easy, poor competition and whatever. But there's players that are considered in a lot better regard across the league that didn't manage what Dessers done last season. So, you've got to say that he's certainly won the Rangers fans over, but maybe not Russell Martin.
Okay, so thanks for your company tonight. Thanks for Ethan and Alex as well, and a wee fight in the middle as well. I would like that back on the show. We'll be back on, hopefully, after the straightforward night for Rangers, where Alex doesn't want it to go to extra time and penalties as well. But we'll be back at 9 o'clock as well for the post show, looking back at Panathinaikos against Rangers. Thanks for watching, and we will be back here on live at 9 o'clock.
The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live